Permission to come up to the conning tower?
Granted. Get your butt up here.
Welcome back for another episode of a basic tour of a fleet submarine, USS Cod, Gato class. We are finally up in the conning tower, which is the smallest compartment we'll be discussing, but likely you'll all agree that it's the most important. It's where Cod completes her mission to sink enemy shipping. The conning tower is a unique feature to the big conning tower of a fleet submarine is unique to the American fleet submarine. Other nations, the German U-boats, the British boats had small conning towers, and in some cases even had an opportunity for the captain to use an attack periscope. But the American fleet submarine conning tower starts out much larger and grows during the war to basically be the attack center. That term wasn't used in World War II, but today we would say the attack center. So Evan's going to do a quick spin around and get a picture of our main helm, the main position where the Cod is steered. So anyway, we have the ship's wheel or helm. We have, again, two motor order telegraphs on the left side and rudder angle indicators, both a clock dial and a numerical, and a gyro compass repeater with a course clock to allow us to have seemingly random derivations on our base course to throw off any submarines hoping to ambush us. That's mounted over the gyro repeater. We've covered all of that in a previous episode, so go on back and look for that. We also have a air conditioning booster unit right above everything because this area could get a little steamy in the tropics, and all these electronic devices up here certainly would benefit, as well as the crew, from having air conditioning. You'll also see the main contact makers for diving, general quarters, and collision. But where I'm standing, right in here, this is where we get tactical. Over here in the corner, on the behind the water splash shield, is our Dead Reckoning tracer, or DRT. It keeps the battle plot. Now you can navigate, but primarily what you're doing from this light table, if you will, is you're keeping your battle plot, your attack movements in order. Right beside me is one of our two periscopes. So let's just do a general talk about this area. If we're on the surface, not attacking, there's probably 5-6 guys up here. Of course, a helmsman, but the main watch on the surface is topside on the bridge. If we're attacking on the surface, there's going to be about 8 guys in here. If we're attacking submerged, there's going to be about 11 men up in here. It gets really crowded. But with a standard night surface attack, 8, because the rest of the guys are up on the bridge using the optics up there and conducting the attack from up there. And you, of course, you have your TDC and things. We'll talk about that in a minute. So it's a cramped space, but it's a very valuable space to have. It allows, with the two scopes here, it allows the boat to stay just a little bit deeper while it's using its periscopes. Now, early fleet subs and early Gatos had the provision to view one periscope from down in the control room and the other one, or both of them, from up here. That was determined to be kind of pointless in combat. So the later Gatos had a solid periscope tube down in control. You only could use them up here in the conning tower, and that simplified things. Especially if you had a flooding casualty up here. There's a rather substantial bilge, and it drains into the pump room. But anyway, this is Cod's conning tower. It was modified in 1951 when we're put back into commission. It was brought up to the March of 45 fleet standards. in that we got some later equipment. But this is the 1944 Type 4 radar periscope. It has a waveguide. It has a larger head to gather more light. So it gave you a somewhat usable image in dusk or bright moonlight. I wouldn't try to use this in really pitch dark. But this is a very, very important periscope. It's got that ST ranging radar built into it. And the viewing electronics are back here with our surface search. Back here we have our Type 2 attack periscope. Now the Type 2 attack periscope is just optics, but it does have a split image statometer rangefinder so that you can break the image in two, set it on top of itself. If you know the mast height, this is algebra, and I'm a liberal arts major, but if you know the mast height and you know the angle at which you're looking up at the top of the mast, that's why you bring it apart and set it on top of itself, then that angle and that base height gives you the distance on the bottom, which is what we're looking for. So that's optical and mathematical. Luckily, by the late war, we have electronic means like the radars. So, and being modified from cable hoist to hydraulic, we've always have some hydraulic oil dripping because our scopes are functional. Over here we have the sonar set, and you know, they didn't worry too much about beats or what are those really funky headphones you kids use, you whippersnappers. This sufficed for your listening for your sonar sound, but this is your sonar set. This is the stool for the sonar operator. Yeah, he got a stool. The slightly higher stool is for our radars. Now, it's one radar set, and I'm blocking the light here. It's the SJ surface search radar. You can switch between the SJ and the ST ranging periscope radar right here. But you have an A scope, which is more or less like an oscilloscope readout, very precise. And then you have what we all think of as a radar display, the planned position indicator, the sweeping arm around the clock face with blobs. Our friends on the Cobia up in Manitowoc have the only working World War II radar. Their SJ5 radar set was restored by one of their volunteers. Salute to Cobia. So maybe someday they'll do a nice documentary about their working radar. Suffice to say, they can track Great Lakes shipping coming in and out of Manitowoc. Of course, your compartment pressure, depth, and outside depth right here. You have your 7MC for communication. Do not look at our modern security camera.
Hey Ben, I'm doing a test of the 7MC. Can you hear me?
This is Ben from the ticket booth. I can hear you.
I'm going to sit down here, and Evan, come sit next to me. Do you like gladiator movies? So this is the TDC Mark IV Mod 1, the Torpedo data computer, and we're very proud to say that thanks to Terry Lindell, it's been restored and it's fully functional. We're not doing a piece exclusively on the TDC, so we're not going to fire this up. Suffice to say, this is how you generate the gyro angle that you will program into the torpedo mechanically while it's in the tube, telling it to go out and turn to a specific gyro angle so that it intercepts the ship in time and space. And of course, own ship, pointy bow, roundy stern, target ship, stern and bow, P&S, port and starboard, We're waiting for these two lights to come on. Correct solution F for forward, correct solution A for aft. That tells us that the computer is confident that if the data we gave it is correct, it has a proper firing solution programmed. And then it's going to send that through the gyro indicator regulator system to the torpedoes. Those are the GISRs are in the forward and aft torpedo room. That's the little seat between the tubes. We've discussed that on an earlier topic. These are the firing panels. So 6 tubes forward, 1 button for the 6 forward tubes, 4 tubes aft, 1 button to fire the after tubes. And the computer is solving the firing solution simultaneously fore and aft. How cool is that? And these are the actual firing buttons. You're only firing 1 torpedo at a time. Of course, you'll fire multiple torpedoes at a target in most cases. In fact, you cannot turn 2 tubes on simultaneously. There's an interlock. So let's say we're going to stand by to fire 3. Fire 3 once our spindles are matched and ready to fire. Then I'll turn that off. Stand by 4. The captain will say, fire 4, fire 4. And of course, there's somebody up here with a talker set. One of those 11 people is saying fire 4, and he's going to be communicating directly with someone in the torpedo room who's going to say fire 4, and they'll repeat 4 fired mechanically, so we know they got that on the way. It's a small space, and it's not open to the general public. It would be nice if we could, but given the delicate nature of the equipment up here, the optics and the periscopes, we can't really do that unless we have somebody manned up here, which is kind of tough to do. And also the fact that climbing and up and down a ladder is just that much more liability. And frankly, our insurance rates have quadrupled in the last 12 years. We don't want them to go any higher. So we provide people with the ability to look at come halfway up the ladder, have a good look from a lower angle perspective. And then we do have people come up here under special Admiral Tour conditions. So the 2 periscopes, we're doing some restoration work. John Bradrick, one of our excellent tour guides and restoration crewmen, is doing the fancy work wrap around this. Again, this is an original surface, and this is constantly being grabbed. So we're putting this cotton line on it, as was done for most of the other areas. I don't know if this was removed before the Cod came to us, but we're putting it there as it is on the lower ones, just so that we aren't degrading this surface for future use. Some valve piping. We bring aboard air and water up here. We also keep our megaphone stowed here. And of course, we've done an episode on the megaphones. Go back and refer to that. That's the conning tower. Of course, the hatch up to the bridge. At some point, we'll go topside on the bridge. But that's, of course, the dramatic hatch that Burt Lancaster, take her down. And he grabs the lanyard, slams it, and water's cascading, and it's all wet and dramatic. And they dog that. By the way, while we're here, these 2 things here were wartime improvements. These are part of the depth charge dog system. These will come out and swing down, and they will swing up into the hatch in case a depth charge explodes. You get that really powerful suction that could rip the hatch off the seat here. So this is a little extra security, and maybe Evan will get a little close-up of us demonstrating that aspect here. So that's the conning tower of a World War II Gato-class fleet submarine. Now, earlier Gatos, the very early Gatos, and the previous fleet submarine classes, the Tambers and the Gar classes and Salmon, Sargos. They had, their conning towers were about 5 feet shorter. Of course, they didn't quite have the larger torpedo data computer. They certainly didn't have radar before the war. So they had slightly smaller conning tower, and they had a door on the back end of the conning tower so the gun crew could come running through, climb up, run through the conning tower, out the door, and man the deck guns, which in combat, I don't know why anybody didn't think this, but, you know, in the combat, when the captain's very busy, very distracted, trying to concentrate on hitting a ship, looking through the periscope, he's got gunner's mates rushing through here. So that and the fact that having a door here on an otherwise very strong compartment is a weak point. So they were, most of the fleet boats that remained in service in the latter half of the war had their back end conning towers cut out and a solid dome back bulkhead welded in. We never had it, but we do have the door on the Fairwater, and again, that's another episode that we've covered. I think one of our early ones. And also because of hoop stress deformation modalities and all that, the fact that this pressure hull is short, smaller diameter than the pressure hull, although the steel is about the same thickness, it is incredibly stronger. So God forbid if the boat were to ever have gone below crush depth, if they sealed this hatch, the conning tower would be the last to implode. Implode it would, but it would be the last part of the boat to implode because it could resist sea pressure. And on that frightening note, remember to hit the like, subscribe, the notification bell, and we'll be heading aft in our next episode to the galley and cruise mess. Thanks for joining us.